September 2010, me and a good friend of mine, Luke Marston, we called up this amazing repose teacher, artist. Anyway, we heard he was the best in the world, so we were kind of pondering. We needed to kind of do something new and fresh. So we went for lunch one day and we're sitting around having lunch, and we're like, okay, let's go international. You know, we work with all these other artists and on and on. Let's do something different and more exciting. So we heard about this guy and we called him up at his house. It was like 10 at night, just out of the blue. And we're like, yeah, I want to come work with you. And he was like, well, who are you? And what do you guys want? And what is going on, kind of thing. So it was quite interesting. So anyway, Luke, you know, he calls him back, and anyway, his name is Valentin Yakov. So Valentin calls me back at my house, like, can you send me some information about who you guys are and what this is all about? So I send him my website, Luke sends his website, and then Val gets back to us and says, well, I'm hosting a repose course in Tuscany, Italy. It's in 5 months from now. You guys are in. I'll save you spots if you guys want to do this. We're like, we're in. Okay, let's do this. So anyway, we're so excited. We're like, well, how are we going to go? Like, we don't have any money or anything. And we're just like, I don't know, big believers in the universe and the way things work. So when we put it out there, and we thought we would contact BC Arts Council, and they get back to us right away, and they're like, oh yeah, travel grants. Taken care of, done. We get 2 travel grants and we're off. Now, you know, we're on our way to Italy. So at this time, you know, I'm talking about doing this show with Steinberg Gallery. And I have it in the back of my mind that, okay, I'm going to Italy to do some repose in jewelry, which I will show in the show in Seattle at the Steinberg Gallery. But I wanted to try and incorporate something a little bit more. So as I sat in my studio and I was carving, thinking about it, I was like, maybe I'll bring a mask. I think I'll bring a mask that I can have some fun with, and I'll call it like the traveler's mask or something, and I'll wear it all over my journey, all over Italy, and take photographs and document it. So that was as far as the idea had gone. So I did it, and I did a really simple mask where I engraved a silver decal for the forehead, and I engraved on the back of it, and I placed it in the forehead, carved it, and inset it into the wood just perfectly. And the mask is all left natural. I didn't want it to have any designs or anything like that, but the decal is an eagle, and the eagle represents flight, and that's us flying over that way. And it has abalone in the eyes because I wanted the eyes to pop a lot, because for me in our culture, it's about a vision, and it's us having that vision and flying to Italy and making it real. So the whole mask in its subtle kind of way is symbolic of that, and it has really nice light hair. But anyway, I just kind of painted the lips and highlight painted it, but left it all natural because it wasn't really connected to anything more than the journey itself. And it was, and the face I didn't finish it with oil or anything. I wanted the fingerprints all over it. I wanted the dirt from the journey. I wanted, you know, I mean, I had it one day when we got there. I'm wearing the mask like in the airport, on the plane, off the plane, in the taxi. We're photographing all over the place. And anyway, you know, we get to the Colosseum and I have it in my hand and we move, and I think I dinged it on the Colosseum, on the rock, and I was like, okay, that's adding value to the whole thing. I'm like, this is exciting because it's all part of the journey. And that's what I wanted for the mask. And we were all over like restaurants, eating, drinking wine, and, you know, just kind of photographing and having fun with it. And then the next morning we got up and we ended up going to the Vatican. We didn't want to miss it, so we're cruising through, and the mask, fit perfectly into my camera bag, and I had a small camera bag. So going into the Vatican, it's quite interesting because me and Luke are going in, and it was like jumping a plane and going into the US. I mean, you got to go through security, they scan your bags, they scan you, Luke's bag was too big, so he had to check it with everything he had, and my bag was small enough where I got to keep it with my camera, which was great. So we're cruising around the Vatican, and I'm in awe. I mean, I'm looking at the craftsmanship and the history and the religion, and people that have come like for miles and miles, where this may be a trip of a lifetime of them, for their opportunity to connect with their God. And I was feeling that. I sensed that all over, and it was amazing. And I'm walking around the place just speechless. I'm touching some of the sculptures and everything, and the cold from the marble, and just the breathing the air and that smell that's in there, like just everything about it. That is, you're in it, and for me it was unreal. So there's this one moment where there's this ray of light that's kind of shining through this window, and it's in the center of the floor in the church. And Luke goes, "Okay, go off in the distance and take a picture of me." So I go and I do this, and he puts his hands out, puts his head up like he's praying, and in seconds, security guards are surrounding him, and they're yelling at us in Italian, and we don't understand them, and they're almost ready to kick us out. They think we're mocking the church. We had to plead with them that we weren't mocking the church, that we were praying. Finally, they calmed down. They let us go. Now that's in the back of my mind, like, oh, Jesus, like, they're pretty intense in here. And it's quiet. Nobody's talking at all. Like, they're going there to pray. Some people are on their knees, and they're having their own moment. They're kissing the floor. They're kissing columns. They're touching everything. Everybody's whispering to each other. So here we are, like just two guys from, Vancouver Island that are over there in awe. And in this split second, Luke goes, "Hey, don't you have your mask?" I was like, "Yeah, it's in my bag." He's like, "Put it on." I was like, "New." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, look where we are. Put your mask on." And I'm like, after the security and how intense that was, I'm like, so anyway, there's a lot of stuff going through my mind instantly. I'm like, oh, right away I'm thinking, okay, we're in the Catholic Church, and I'm thinking about what Catholicism had done to our native people across Canada with residential schools and like you name it, on, and then the wiping out of our culture and the banning of our culture, and that we were forced to burn masks, and our people went to jail and for practicing culture, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, it's all going through my mind, and I'm thinking, if I pull my mask out right now and put it on, they might confiscate it with all my footage from my whole documentation of the journey so far, and it'll be gone. And then I was thinking, again, they'll take it again, like they did long time ago. And then I'm like, anyway, I'm nervous. And then Luke is like, just do it, put it on. Who cares? So anyway, I'm like, screw it. So anyway, something had come over me where it was just like a hand had pushed down on me, and my nerves, everything were just suppressed. I was like just stone cold. And I grabbed my mask, and I was like, "You're right." And my face changed, and I looked at him, and I looked at the camera, and I began to just speak, and I was like, here I am in the Vatican Church with the first mask in history from our First Nations people, all the way over here in Italy, in the Vatican, standing strong and proud, showing that we're still alive, that our culture is still alive, that we're still creating pieces, and that, everything. And then I was getting energized, and I could feel my body, and I was just like, wow, like this is my state of mind where I'm liberated. Like I'm feeling like it was just so amazing. So anyway, I'm holding the mask, and I'm saying this long speech, and I put the mask on, and he's videoing me, and he's walking around me. Now people are going by, and they're like, he has a mask, he has a mask. Like everybody's like whispering and everything. Now the crowd is starting to gather around, and they're wondering what's going on. And we take these pictures and everything. And just in time, I take the mask off, and it slides perfectly into my bag. I close my bag. I walk one way. Luke takes off the other way. And everybody's standing there, and security's looking around, wondering what's going on, and nobody says anything, except I hear one little lady that, he has a mask, and they're like saying, well, who has a mask? And by then it was already gone. It was like so amazing. So anyway, we leave the Vatican, and I'm like, whoa, like just this, sigh of relief. Like, holy crap, that was so intense. Like I was like vibrating forever. And then, just at that moment, Luke goes, okay, let's get my bag from storage because my mask is in there, and let's do it all over again. I was like, oh my god. So anyway, of course we did it. We had to take all my stuff out, put his mask in mine, and redo the whole thing where he got to put his mask on as well. So two masks in the history of time that made it into the Vatican, and very strong statements from us that we are working hard still today as artists to keep creating these legends and this culture of ours that, working hard to keep it intact, that we'll still continue to be here another 1,000 years from now and so on. So very important statement for sure that we had made, and one of the most amazing experiences of my life, for sure. And then from there, which is kind of interesting, we fly home from Italy. We're traveling all over the place. We finished our course and everything. And anyway, our instructor goes, he was so impressed with us, he goes, I'd like you guys to come study in New York next. And it was like a month away. So I get off the plane, the first thing I tell my wife is, yeah, I'm going to New York now. She's like, what? So anyway, the journey began from there, where I was like, well, I can't just not do this again. So I created another mask to take with me to to New York. And I thought I'd have more fun with it now because it's New York. It's the center of the world for business and, fashion and art and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to create something a little bit more different, a little bit more fun. And it made me think about my grandmother, and I'm always used to talk about when her ancestors had potlatches and stuff, and when the first ships were coming in, they used to create little white masks with mustaches, and they're white man masks, and they had little top hats, and they'd do fancy dances and potlatches and have fun and mimic them. So she was saying we had always done that. We were always looking outside and recreating something to try and understand it better. So for me, I was like, okay, I think I'm going to create a Louis Vuitton mask, and I painted it with gold and black, and I inlaid it with gold. And and I stood in Times Square and did the same thing, did the whole speech on camera, and took some photographs and on, and it's very exciting. So two masks that have traveled in the same year, and like I say, it's very, very significant for me because these masks document a time in my life, a very, very important time as well. Not only for me just as an artist, but I mean traveling and seeing the world and connecting on an artistic level and pushing myself to recreate and to rethink about the way we view the world, even the symbolism behind masks.